Welcome councillors, electors and staff to the annual general meeting of the 2nd of February 2026. I declare the meeting opened at 17:30. The City of Busselton acknowledges the Wardandi and Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of this region and pays respect to the elders past and present. The City of Busselton acknowledges Thank you for joining us in person today. This is an annual general meeting of the City of Busselton electors and certain protocols will apply. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded to ensure an accurate and official record, and we can kindly ask that you do not record, photograph or take videos during the proceedings, as the official recordings will be made available. We understand that you may hear matters that you strongly agree or disagree with. However, we ask that you respect the nature of this meeting by refraining from making comments, chatting, or applauding during the proceeding. This helps maintain an environment where business can be conducted efficiently and respectfully, and I thank you for your cooperation. And please note that this will be carried out using our standing orders as a guide. So, in attendance, we have Deputy Mayor Kate Cox, Councillor Mueller, Councillor Love, Councillor McNeish, Councillor Dykstra, Councillor Ryan, Councillor Adams and Councillor Kennedy. We also have in attendance tonight the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Gary Hunt, PSM. We have the Director of Economic Business and Development, Maxine Palmer, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment, Oliver Darby, the Director of Community Planning, Gary Barber, and the Director of Corporate Strategy and Performance, Sarah Pearson. Item 3, the purpose of this meeting. In accordance with Regulations 15 of the Local Government Administrations Regulations 1996, the matters to be discussed at a general electors meeting are, firstly, the contents of the annual report and the financial report for the previous financial year, and then any other general business. Item 4, I will now look for the endorsement of the minutes from the previous annual general meeting of electors, which was held on February the 3rd, 2025. So do I have a mover for the motion that the minutes for the annual general meeting of electors held on the 3rd of February 2025 be confirmed as a true and correct record? And I put that to the gallery. Do we have a mover? Thank you. And please state your name and where you're from.
Julie Flocker, Port Hedron.
Thank you very much, Julie. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Please state your... Thank you. Helen Finlay from Busselton. Therefore, I put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. 3. And those against, please raise your hands.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Were those minutes available?
Mr. CEO.
The minutes of the meeting, Mr. House, would have been circulated with the council when it was referred to the council. It would have, I imagine, have been the meeting of February 2025. I would just point out that it isn't a requirement of this meeting to formally adopt the minutes of the electors' meeting. That's just been a tradition of this local government.
Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I carry the motion. Thank you. I now go to item 5, which is the Mayor's presentation. Welcome everyone to this annual general meeting of electors. The purpose of this meeting is to present the contents of the annual report for the 2024 to 2025 financial year, inclusive of the annual financial report, and then provide an opportunity for electors to raise other general business. I'd like to start by providing an overview of the annual report for the 2024-25 financial year, available on the city's website. The annual report before you tonight reports that the city's services, projects, achievements and financials for the 2024-25 financial year. It reports against the key themes and outcomes of the city's council plan, focused around lifestyle, environment, place, opportunity and leadership, which was supported by the 24-25 budget. The city delivers 28 services to the community, broken down into 63 sub-services. Information about those services can be found in the city's service portfolio. Amongst our service delivery, the council has determined 6 key strategic priorities in its council plan, all of which have been progressed and worked on over the past year. These include sport and recreation, rivers and waterways, responsible development and housing, airport services, community safety and communication and engagement. Having a safe, welcoming and inclusive community with access to services and facilities to support our well-being is important to our lifestyle. Service highlights include 13,278 people attending our youth centres, 1,145 bushfire inspections, response to 111 fire call-outs, 2,668 leisure centre members. We welcomed 17,594 visitors to the cultural precinct, and completion of 295 food business inspections and 89 food business registrations. And we took 1,044 pool and aquatic samples. Key achievements to note include that the city proudly opened its Changing Places facility on the Busselton foreshore, which provides opportunity for people living with a disability to enjoy the foreshore in comfort and with confidence. This project was awarded the Most Accessible Communities Award for infrastructure projects under 1.5 million. The council also endorsed a revised disability access and inclusion plan, which provides directions to improve access and inclusion across the city's services, events, buildings, and facilities and information. The council supported a renewed and strengthened partnership with Rio Tinto, continued to support programs for our youth, including a youth needs assessment for services in Vass. The city awarded and engaged a contractor to extend a link from the bore at Dunsborough Lakes to enable the supply of water to the Dunsborough playing fields. City volunteer firefighters' extraordinary achievements were honoured at the city-hosted annual Emergency Service Volunteer Awards. The council adopted and revised local heritage survey and heritage list to support the protection of our heritage, essential to maintaining the city's unique character and historical significance. The city was awarded recognition for its outstanding commitment to preserving and interpreting local heritage, receiving the Judges Award at the WA Heritage Award. And staying within the culture precinct, a large number of inquiries to book the saltwater in anticipation of its opening were received. We want to ensure our environment is valued and able to be enjoyed by current and future generations. Service highlights include 27% of solid waste was diverted from landfill, 3,893 tonnes of curbside recycling was collected, 46.6% of renewable energy was generated or sourced by the city. 45,000 trees were planted. Over 1,000 hectares of natural reserve areas were maintained. And we had 300 volunteers donate their time to assist with the city's environmental programs and initiatives. Key achievements within our environmental theme included the city officially opened the reuse shop at the Busselton Waste Transfer Station in collaboration with WorkPower. This initiative was made possible through a $150,000 grant from the state government and supports both environmental, sustainability, and employment opportunities for people living with a disability. And following the Marri Reserve bushfire in Dunsborough, the city initiated the formation of the Marri Reserve Recovery Team, tasked with guiding the rehabilitation process and protecting the fragile environment during its recovery phase. The city was awarded the Litter Action Award at the Tidy Towns Sustainable Communities event for the Litter-Free Meal-Up project, a project to tackle litter, especially fishing debris, at the Meal-Up Regional Park. Partnering with the Meal-Up Regional Park Committee and the Dunsborough Men's Shed, the city installed 2 beachside litter stations made from repurposed wood, complete with buckets and QR-coded signage for easy reporting. The initiative boosted public participation, enhanced monitoring, and has since inspired similar efforts beyond Busselton. The city continued its commitment to improving the health of the Lower Vass River through progression of design and approvals for Stage 3 of the sediment removal program. The city completed multiple coastal strengthening projects at locations along the Geograph Bay coastline, which included upgrades to sections of footpaths that doubled as levees, dune stabilisation, and planting of new vegetation. The council supported and development of the sustainable policy, which provides a strategic guidance and reinforces the city's commitment to promoting sustainability and climate resilience. We are a growing district, and responsible planning, which retains our unique character, identity, and lifestyle, is important. Services highlights include receiving 915 development applications at the value of $415 million, 1,374 building applications valued at $456.5 million. Together, this represents a combined value of $871 million and is the highest level of demand across regional WA. We have over $1.2 billion worth of assets to maintain, including 78 bridges, 57 playgrounds, 154 car parks, 369 unsealed roads, 330 kilometres of shared path, 955 kilometres of sealed roads, and 41.5 hectares of ovals. The key achievements within our place theme include the city's new local planning scheme, number 22, which reached a significant milestone with the council approving the draft to consent to advertise. The draft scheme is awaiting consent to advertise from the Minister for Planning. The city's planning and developments team commitment to driving innovative and sustainable planning solutions in the face of extreme demand was recognised through their nomination for Planning Excellence. The final touches to Mitchell Park included a children's play safe with easy accessible soft fall and interactive play equipment, and this completes the revitalisation of the city's centre parkland. The Busselton War Memorial Project was honoured with 2 awards at the Institute for Public Works and Engineering Australasia WA Excellence Awards and Best Public Works Projects under 2 million Regional and Excellence in Innovation Regional. Key upgrades have been delivered to district transport networks, including the reconstruction works on the Commonage Road, the widening of the North Jingdong Road, and improvements to Busselton Highway, enhancing community safety and connectivity. We seek to facilitate a vibrant and growing economy with diverse opportunity. Service highlights include 192,072 passengers through the airport, 39,887 stays at the Busselton Jetty Tourist Park, 1,066,484 visitors on the jetty, generation of $68.8 million in economic impact throughout the city-sponsored events, 838 million total tourism spend, and over 232,000 library resources were borrowed by the over 20,000 members in our libraries. Key achievements within our opportunity theme include the development and growth of the Busselton and Margaret River Airport is key to achievement of our opportunity outcome. The City awarded a contract to Urbis to support the continued investigation of business development opportunities and the surrounding airport. Over the previous year, the airport has welcomed increased passenger numbers as well as the completion of a planned airside works and progression of planning towards septic upgrades as well as a new public car park. The airport ended the year with a $2 million net operating surplus being transferred to the airport reserve. As part of the state government's outdoor adventure tourism package, $17.5 million has been allocated to complete the Wardandie Track in collaboration with the Shire of Augusta Margaret River. The Wardandie Track is an important regional link for tourism and recreation. The City continued funding support for the Margaret River Busselton Tourism Association, maintaining the 15-year successful partnership between the City and MRBTA to provide visitor services and promote the region as a destination of choice for events and unique tourism experiences. The City and Busselton Jetty Inc. held a number of joint strategy sessions to develop a clear strategy for the ongoing preservation of the Busselton Jetty into the future. The Council supported the appointment of new managers to the Busselton Jetty Tourist Park on a 2-year contract while it undertakes a strategic view of its future. And finally, under the strategic theme of visionary, collaborative and accountable leadership, service highlights include a rate base of 25,525, 7,228 customer requests. We received nearly 90,000 calls to customer services, had 1.6 million website page views. We managed 237 leased properties. And we ended the year with a turnover rate of staff of only 12%, which is much lower than the industry norms. Key achievements within our opportunity theme included the council adopted the City's 2024 to 2034 Council Plan and Long-Term Financial Plan, which together set out a strategic direction for the future. These important strategic plans are reviewed regularly to ensure they remain current and appropriate. The City also endorsed a stakeholder advocacy plan and developed a suite of position papers to guide strategic engagement with key partners. These resources are available on the City's website and explain how the City will advocate for key strategic priorities for the benefit of its community. The City received an unqualified or clean audit result from the Officer of the Auditor General with no management findings. At the end of the 24-25 year, we transferred $1 million to the new Sport and Recreational Reserve to help save for new sport and recreational infrastructure, a high community priority. The Council also strengthened governance oversight through establishment of an internal audit program. There continued to be a focus through the year on enhancing customer service. The City reviewed its customer service charter and delivered targeted staff training. The City also commenced works to upgrade its customer request management system. The Council also adopted a revised community engagement policy and framework in February 2025. The new framework sets out the City's approach to engagement and the roles and responsibilities of both elected members and City officers. And over the year, Your Say campaigns attracted 3,442 engagements, with 374 residents participating in in-person workshops, pop-ups and information sessions. In closing, The 2024-2025 was another successful year. We live in one of the best, I would say, the best regional local government areas and have a lifestyle that is the envy of many. We work hard to balance the demands to deliver on our vision for the community, which is to be a place where environment, lifestyle and opportunity thrive. I'd like to thank my fellow elected members and the city staff for the delivery of the 2024-25 financial year plan. The annual report, along with the city's council plan, outlines the priorities that we are currently working towards. For now, though, I will take questions on the annual report, which includes the financial report, before seeking a motion to accept this report. Do I have any questions on either report? There is a question. If you'd like to come forward, please state your name and where you're from. Thank you.
Would you like me to stand just here?
Yes, if you'd like to, or just put the microphone on. Yes, you can. Or you can sit. You can sit if you wish. Sorry, it's very difficult for me to see people because there's a bright light behind you also.
That's all right. Yeah. Good evening, all. My name is Brian O'Connor. I live in Busselton, and I'm a ratepayer.
Yeah.
It appears to be on.
Yeah. Can you not? Is the microphone switched on in the back? Maybe we can turn them up a little.
Will I sit in a bit closer?
Yeah, if you could. Thank you very much.
Okay. My question is, as expressed some days ago when I submitted a written version of this. But it's quite simply, why were the saltwater project risks concealed from ratepayers? Let me make a number of explanatory comments. The annual report, which we're talking about, does refer to risks in note 23. It talks about the city's exposure to financial risks and so on, which is very good, but contract risks are not mentioned anywhere. Number two, at last year's Electors meeting, we were informed that the project was assessed at a medium risk level. That is, a moderate financial consequence being possible of up to $1 million. Also, the business case identified a risk of cost overruns rated medium. At the Electors meeting 2 years ago, we were informed that the corporate risk register contained no risks above a low-level rating. Now, I might just finish by referring to the recent schedule of interim learnings, which I think is an extremely valuable guide to future improvement, and I hope will be integrated into the city's policies and procedures as fully as possible. However, there is a statement in learning number 26 that initial risk identification was comprehensive, and I would say that ought to be questioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for your question. I'll put that to Director Pearson.
Thank you for your question. In terms of the financial report, as you point out, note 23 does talk to risk, but it's narrow in that it talks to specifically financial risks associated with interest rate risk, credit risk, liquidity risk, and that's as per the standards and requirements for the financial report. Specific project and contract risks are not covered by note 23. There were a range of risks identified as part of the saltwater business case, as you have alluded to, one of those being a medium level risk, and also in the operations business plan, both of which are available on the city's website under the saltwater pages. So there are a range of publicly identified risks. It is correct that those risks, particularly in relation to construction costs, were in 2021 identified as medium. So at that point in time, that is correct, that is the risk level assigned to them then. I guess the risks are available on the website. They were done at a point in time. And obviously we are at a different point in time at this point.
Thank you. Are there any further questions on the annual report, including the financial report? Okay, being no questions, I'll now move on to the item 6 of the agenda, which is the receipt of the 2024-2025 annual report, including the 2024-25 financial report. Do I have a mover for the motion that the City of Busselton 2024 to 2025 annual report, including the 2024 to 2025 financial report, be received by the electors? Do I have a mover, please? I have a mover.
Julie Flocker, Busselton.
Thank you, Julie. Seconded. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 7 is other general business. We've received some pre-registered questions which were received by the City prior to the meeting, and I'll invite those electors to come forward. Please come to the lectern, state your name and the suburb, and then ask your question. And first off, we have Ms. Walsh.
Jill Walsh, Busselton. I might need to rephrase, even though I submitted the questions, I might need to just rephrase them slightly. So the first one stands the same. In relation to the saltwater interim report, why wasn't a simple executive summary attached dating the most commonly asked questions by ratepayers, in particular, how much has been spent in total so far and what are the projected costs to complete the build?
Thank you. I'll put that to Ms. Pearson.
Sorry, just controlling the devices here. I guess the saltwater learnings report the purpose of that report was a learnings report, and so the executive summary really just set that out. There was financial information provided in that report under the financial implications heading of the report, so I guess that's why it was put in that section of the report. We are preparing, however, some frequently asked questions at the moment that we will put up on the city's website, understanding that was a long report, and there's probably some key points that people want to be able to reference. So we'll get those up as soon as possible.
Sorry, can we have the microphone back on for Ms. Walsh?
Sorry. So in relation to the stage 3 dredging, is it going ahead?
Director Darby?
I'll answer that one. Yes, the sediment removal project for stage 3 will go ahead. This will occur when practical and is subject to the water level in the river.
At the last meeting, Mayor Cronin said that if it didn't go ahead in autumn-summer 25, it would be going ahead in autumn-summer 26. Is that still the case? At the electors meeting last year?
Well, I think the director said it'll happen when we can actually do it, when the water levels are correct. So at the moment, it's not possible to do it. So, Director Darby, please.
I might just add to that.
Yeah.
So in addition to the water levels being correct, we're actually working with the contractors to see how we can actually improve the procedures or the design to accommodate the water.
So is there any when? You know?
Not at the moment, but it is going to go ahead.
Okay, and so part 2 of that question is that part of the funding for the stage 3 dredging was a grant by the state government, and in my experience of having worked with the state government, if money's not spent, it needs to be returned. And so the project was supposed to go ahead in autumn, summer 2025 and it didn't. What happened to those funds?
Okay, so the city's intention is to retain the current allocation budget, grant funds to complete the project when possible. No, this is approximately...
Sorry, I'm struggling. You're talking very fast and I can't hear you.
Sorry, apologies. The city's intention is to retain the current allocated budget and grant funds to complete the project when possible. Note this is approximately $950,000 city funds and approximately $410,000 grant funds. So there is a process to continue retaining the grant funds. They've already been carried over once already.
They were carried over. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have questions from Mr. Anderson.
Sorry, Mr. Anderson's hearing impaired and he's asked me to sit and help him with the hearing of this.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
May I use that? Thank you, you're a gentleman.
Stuart Anderson, living in Yayala. Just got a couple of quick questions. I don't know how many I can ask. I'm asking about the river. Firstly, why doesn't the council use methods to eliminate blue geology, like floating solar power systems, UV systems? And two, why doesn't the council engage a private environmental consulting firm on what can be done to eliminate the blue algae?
Mr. Darby?
I've got some slightly different questions that you provided, but I think I can correct myself. Why doesn't the council use known methods to eliminate blue-green algae, floating solar-powered UV systems? These systems are one of the technologies that will be investigated under the subsurface aeration trial. On that particular question, yeah.
What about engaging an consulting firm?
Right, sorry, in response to that question, the city regularly procures environmental consulting services in the delivery of its waterway management programs and in seeking additional advice and planning. Additionally, through the VAST task force, the city receives technical support from DWER, officers from DWER Aquatic Science Branch, who are, considered experts in the field, specialising and applying scientific understanding to the management of the natural waterway system.
Sorry, who was the consulting firm? I didn't hear that. You said you had a consulting firm?
We do engage various different environmental consulting firms.
Can I ask what the firm is? What's the name of the firm?
You can, and I'll have to get back to you on that because we have several, and I can provide that in writing.
So you don't actually have one particular consulting firm?
Oh, we have several.
Several.
But I just can't remember all their different names.
Because I'd like to suggest that you take on Paces Aqua. Both the directors have environment qualifications. They have PhD in biological science, and they would have processes that you can use to eliminate the algae.
Thank you.
The other question I want to ask is about the Performing Arts Centre. I'll cut them down to two questions. As the Performing Arts Centre is costing a lot of money.
Sorry, could I will also ask you if you can just speak a little bit slower and clearer because I'm struggling to understand. Thank you.
Say that again.
If you could speak a bit slower as well, then everyone can hear. Thank you.
I'm excited about getting my questions in.
Maybe just move the microphone across a bit.
Okay. My next question, I've cut the questions down because I heard I only can ask two questions.
No, I didn't say there was any limit.
Okay.
You can keep going.
You can ask all your questions.
I've gone on to the Performing Arts Centre now. How is the council going to pay for the debt of the Performing Arts Centre over the next 5 years?
Director Pearson?
So we'll continue to factor the borrowing costs into the city's long-term financial planning and borrowing, budget. Obviously, the $26.5 million in borrowings has already been factored into our planning. The additional $3.5 million will be factored in as part of the future planning and budgeting.
Okay. The next question is, can consideration be taken on stopping construction work on the project and keeping the site as a building in process being completed at a later date, giving relief to ratepayers and their rates?
Sorry. Ms. CEO, do you wish to? Sorry, I'm still struggling. If you could try and speak a little slower.
Do you want me to ask it again?
If you could, thank you.
Yeah. Consideration of stopping all construction work on the project and keeping the site as a building in process being completed at a later date, giving relief to ratepayers in their rates.
Okay, thank you. Mr. CEO?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I did give that some consideration before we put the report to the council about progressing, taking control of the site and progressing to fund the additional work. The judgment was that the costs that had already been expended weren't going to save the ratepayers anything because that's already been done. So the additional cost, which is being funded, was part funded by the reserve fund and part by debt. That the best option was to progress with the project, get it finished and get it utilised by the community.
Thank you.
I know the next question is, can we start up a sinking fund to add money on a stage progress to complete the building at a later date?
Ms. Pearson, do you wish to? So the question was start up a sinking fund to add money on a staged process to complete the building at a later date.
Yep.
The answer is we've gone past that point, well and truly. The council has made a decision to take control of the site. We've done that. The council made a decision to fund the continuation of the project. We've done that, and we're moving forward to complete the project.
Well, in that case, the last question is, how much will the salt water cost to complete? Is there a cost estimate? What is the timeline for the completion?
I can't give you an exact timeline for the completion because we're still working through those programs. In terms of the cost, the saltwater report went into extensive detail explaining the project cost, the construction costs. We even went to the extent of identifying financing costs, which is not done for any other project that the city is engaged with or that other local governments fund in that way. So I think we've well and truly put the figures out into the community, Mr. Anderson.
So the figures are how much?
We're forecasting the construction capital cost to reach 58 million. So originally 44.5, and now we're looking at a forecast of 58 million. Again, there's borrowing costs, as the CEO indicates, that are separate to that, but in terms of the construction costs, that's what we're forecasting at the moment.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have questions from Dr. Dickey.
Good evening, Mayor Cronin, Dr. Hunt, city officers, councillors and members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to ask two short questions tonight, both of which are about the Lower Vass River. First question is, has a contract been finalised between the City of Busselton and the BCP Group, which won the tender in January 2025 for Stage 3 sediment removal from the Lower Vass River? The reason I ask is the last time I asked this at the Waterways Management Committee, the answer was no, a contract had not yet been drawn up, although the company had won the tender.
CEO,
I can answer
Mr.
that.
Darby, please.
As we previously answered to that question, the council endorsed the outcome of the tender submission and accepted the tender from Busselton Civil Pty Limited on the basis of direct excavation methodology. Water levels in the river are delaying the work start date. Until the work start date is fixed, the city is unable to execute the contract. To enable preparatory works, the city has engaged a contractor separately to complete planning works, documentation and methodology refinement.
So there is a written contract in place now, is what you're saying?
Say again, sorry?
There is a written contract now in place?
No, still no written contract.
Well, how can work start without a contract?
Until we know the start date and the methodology is finalised.
Okay, thank you. Second question was the recent fish kill at the Bussell Highway Bridge over the Lower Vass River adjacent to the council chambers due to low dissolved oxygen levels in the water, secondary to decomposition of the severe algal or cyanobacterial bloom in that section of the river at that time?
Mr Darby?
I'll answer that question. Department of Water and Environment and Regulation staff responded to the dead fish in the Lower Bass River on Monday the 19th of January, and a media release providing information on this was published on the 23rd of January. Some relevant points from the media release. The cause of the fish death is still unknown. However, water quality loggers in the river showed low dissolved oxygen for 2 days prior, which may have contributed. Low oxygen events are known to cause a known cause of fish kills in waterways, particularly during warmer months, and in systems experiencing elevated nutrient levels or algal growth.
Did DEWA offer any explanation of why the dissolved oxygen levels in the water were so low?
No, and I'd have to ask you to ask DEWA on that particular occasion.
I'd also appreciate it if you asked DEWA what the cyanobacterial levels were in the water at that time compared to the National Health and Medical Research Council limits for cyanobacteria.
No problem. I can ask them that. That's their responsibility to provide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have a question from Mr Shipley. Please state your name and where you're from. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. My name is Neil Shipley and from Geograph. This question is not on par with the rather extensive questions previously asked. However, it is important to the residents of Geograph, Port Geograph, and also to one of the small businesses in the area. In a nutshell, there is a coffee van at the end of Freycinet Drive, Thursdays through to Sundays. It's located at the very end of the car park in the thoroughway throughway there, adjacent to the toilet block. Next to the coffee van is a small triangle of supposed garden bed. There's a tree and a rock in it and some leftover wood chips. The vendors of that van wish to put a couple of small tables and some chairs in that area for people to sit, particularly elderly people, while they're waiting for their coffee and snacks. And they have been refused this by council. My question to council is, why? Thank you.
Ms Palmer. If you'd like to.
Thank you. I'm familiar with that trading site, and it's apparently been doing very well and being well received by the community down there. Also familiar with the surroundings of that site as well. This is a common request that we get through from food traders that would like to put tables and chairs out throughout the city where we have these arrangements in place. At the moment, the commercial hire site permits don't allow for additional furniture to be arranged outside of the hired area from the council, and the difficulty with allowing those is in very busy areas they become a conflict or cause congestion in the surroundings. So for the sake of parity, we apply the same rules for all commercial hire sites. Also, near this particular site, there is a picnic bench and barbecue area that's quite close, where people could sit and enjoy what they purchase.
Thank you.
I respond to that answer. Firstly, there is no high traffic area there, right? It is quite an isolated spot, although there are quite a lot of visitors and local residents use the area. Not that particular through there, as there is a footpath running alongside the rock wall, which most people who aren't directly involved in ordering coffee and snacks would use. Secondly, I don't agree with the fact that a parity statement, exceptions can be made. I've worked in local council before and I've come across a number of exceptions. One of the exceptions actually is in the area of that coffee van, which is currently parked, or when they are there, is parked in an access way. So that in itself is an exemption. Secondly, or thirdly, the area involved is basically, as I understand it, has been designated a garden bed. It is in no shape or form a garden bed. It is just a piece of dirt in a triangular shape. It is completely out of the way of any other area where people might be walking, and so I would say that in terms of obstruction, there would be none whatsoever. My fourth point is that you referred to the barbecue area, shade area, which is in that area a little further along, adjacent to the parkland. I walk down there 6 or 7 days every week in the morning. That area is not properly maintained. It is quite often dirty. The benches are quite often dirty and the barbecue is dirty. So apart from being an unattractive place to sit and have a coffee and a drink, it is also removed from the actual immediate vicinity of the coffee van.
Mr. Sibley, Shipley, we have, as it's question time, I appreciate you want to get your point across. We actually have a community access session where you can come and talk to council for 5 minutes on the issue, but you have raised it now and councillors are aware of your plight.
Okay.
So I will stop you there if you don't mind, but it's only because we're looking at direct questions of the council of the city.
All right. So my final point being the fact that council is involved in attempting to provide incentives and to support local business. This is one instance where a minor variation to the council regulations would go a long way in assisting the local residents in that particular area and visitors also.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. And next we have a question from Mr. Sims. Good evening, Mr. Sims.
Keith Sims, Busselton. Good evening, councillors, CEO and staff. Might be a surprise, but I'm going to ask about saltwater. Mayor Cronin, you advised that there were over 700 bookings for saltwater. Can you please break those down into groups, convention centre, theatre, breakout rooms, etc., and advise the number per group and the total income to the city?
Thank you. Put that to Director Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Sims, for sending this one in before the meeting tonight. Obviously, we have to pull that information off of our system. Firstly, just to clarify, 700 bookings, it was 700 event days, not individual bookings. So a booking can be over several days, and we can have multiple bookings running across the venue simultaneously at any one time. So our figure now is 975 total event days registered in our system. And, excuse me reading, but these are the event days per type of activity or booking. So art exhibitions, 606 event days, performing arts, 118 event days, conferences, 80 event days, festivals, 71 event days, community events, 41 event days, internal bookings, 36 event days, award ceremonies, 14 event days, meetings, 4 event days, and functions, 3 event days.
So just to clarify, because I couldn't add up that quick, is the 700 bookings, and I get it that some might be over multiple days, is how much dollar value for?
We are forecast to total gross revenue of $1,743,206. Don't forget the $6 in the financial year for those bookings.
Thank you. Second question. In light of the audio-visual company's insolvency, and I'm not sure of what their name is, what is the exact dollar amount paid to the insolvent contractor prior to their collapse? And what is the verified budget required to complete the installation? And how will this be funded by the project contingency of ratepayer funds?
Director Darby, if I may.
Approximately 1.3 million has been paid to date, and we have that equipment and works on site to that value. Costs to complete are being finalised at the moment through our procurement processes.
So you'll get
But
that
it'll
figure
be
for
part
me
of the
later?
budget.
So you'll get that figure later? I don't mind waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Third one. Mayor, in your speaking against the 28th of January council meeting motion to apologise, you stated, quote, "We did what the community asked us to do, something, and we did what we were told to do." The Catalyse survey only had 34% of the community wanting this project to go ahead. So the question is, can you please clarify what you thought the community asked you to do, especially considering the result of the survey?
Thank you. Look, the council resolved to proceed with the construction of the Performing Arts Centre, following such a centre being identified as a need by the community through strategic community planning from 2010, and following numerous studies identified the benefits. The council's decision was ultimately informed by a range of factors. Thank you.
But what you said was you were told what to do by the community. The community, via the $34,000 survey, was only 34% wanted it. So
we've spoken before on this, Mr. Sims.
Yes, I know,
I think we have different views, but I'm more than happy to sit down with you again.
No, I want the question answered now. I gave it in
you won't demand
notice.
an answer from me. Thank you.
You speak on behalf of
Okay, please.
You speak on behalf of the
Mr.
council.
Sims, I won't take this personal.
It's not personal.
I'm not that.
I didn't say you. You said we. We as a council.
Well,
and you represent them.
The scenario we find ourselves in today is through a we. The council made decisions, and this is where we are at the moment. Individual, I'm one elector, one vote out of 9. So, please,
but it was addressed to council.
Thank you.
And you said the community told you what to do.
Thank you. Are there any? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sims, for your question. Are there any other questions? Please, Ms. Shackleton, come forward.
Michelle Shackleton of Abbey. I appear before you today because there is a growing disconnect between the financial reality of this council and the financial reality of the community who are funding it. In July 2025, this council voted to accept a 3.5% increase in councillor sitting fees and allowances. While you may argue that this was an independent SAT award, it was your choice to adopt the maximum of that range for yourselves. This decision added roughly $18,400 to the city's annual bill, bringing the total cost of just 9 elected members to nearly $500,000 per year. Contrast that with what you ask of us. You imposed a 7% general hike for rates and a staggering 22.8% hike on holiday homeowners. These costs don't stop at the property owners. They flow directly into the rent paid by local families and the leases paid by our small business owners. While the community is being forced to tighten its belt, this council has shown zero evidence of reining in its own discretionary spending. January to March quarter of 2025, the city spent $13,500 on catering, and you don't even know how it was spent. We see millions being diverted to the saltwater overspend, and including the reserves that ratepayers have funded over many years, but not one cut, not one review in relation to the corporate perks, catering, or the open fridge culture in this building. It is time for this council to lead by example, and not just by expense. I want to put forward a motion before the electors of the City of Busselton. Number 1, that the City commissions an independent audit into the discretionary corporate expenditure, specifically targeting civic hospitality, council catering and internal food and beverage budgets for elected members and staff, executive staff. Number 2, that they implement a parity policy that mandates any future increase in council remuneration must be offset by a verified equivalent dollar-for-dollar reduction in the city's discretionary hospitality and catering budgets. And thirdly, publish a hospitality register on the city's website, updated quarterly, detailing every dollar spent on catering and events, ensuring the transparency that we ratepayers deserve. Can I have a seconder? Thank you. Third.
Do I have a seconder for that? Sure, thank you. Do we need to put that on the screen? Director Pearson?
Ms Shackleton, I might just get you to repeat particularly point 1 to make sure that we've captured that correctly, please.
Commission an independent audit into the discretionary corporate expenditure, specifically targeting civic hospitality, council catering, and internal food and beverage budgets for elected members and executive staff.
Okay, I'm just going to repeat that back to make sure that we have it correct. That the City commission an independent audit into discretionary corporate expenditure and spend, specifically targeting, sorry, reading my shorthand, specifically targeting council catering,
civic hospitality,
council catering, and internal food and beverage for council and executive. Yep. And then number 2, implement a parity policy that any further increase in council remuneration must be offset by equivalent reduction. Was that
dollar-for-dollar reduction?
Dollar-for-dollar reduction.
In the city's discretionary hospitality and catering budgets.
Okay. And catering budgets. And number 3, publish a hospitality register identifying
on the city's website, updated quarterly, detailing dollars spent on catering and events, ensuring the transparency that ratepayers deserve.
Okay. Yeah. I think we've got that captured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there any opposition to that? There is opposition. Therefore, those in favour, motion is put forward to the council. Thank you. Thank you, Ms Shackleton. Please come forward. State your name. Thank you. Please come forward. State your name and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Martine Shepherd. I'm from Dunsborough. And I'm also the campaign coordinator for Save Our Beloved Geograph Bay, which has a community of over 6,500 people. We have brought already to Council a special electors meeting in April of 2024. And today, not only am I putting forward a discussion, I have some paperwork that I'd like to give to some of the councillors, if that's okay, so they know and understand what I'm talking on. Is that right?
Sure. Maybe.
Oh, sorry, there's another one. Yeah. I'm here tonight to talk of something that's of the utmost seriousness. For the last 2 years, we have been stonewalled and had zero answers about the offshore wind turbine. It's going ahead. We're right on the precipice of the feasibility licences being accepted by 2 foreign corporations, with 3 projects going ahead. The motion I'm putting forward is about radar interference and what that poses as a risk to this entire community. So not only is it talking about an issue of national defence, but it's also talking about the impact on navigation. If you'd like to look at the second page, you'll see here, these are actually from the Department of Defence in the USA, the top illustration. Sorry that I can't hand them out to the community here behind me, my apologies. And at the bottom, you'll see that's a navigation radar that has scatter that sees that these shipping vessels can no longer navigate in waters where there's offshore wind turbines because of the interference from the wind turbines themselves. This poses a really serious risk because you have an airport here. You have 192,000 people going through there, FIFO workers that were flying right over the top, me being one of them. So the thing is, today I'm putting forward a motion for the City of Busselton on behalf of its electors, residents and ratepayers, send the following correspondence to all of the following ministers, shadow ministers and individuals. Sorry, I had to modify that because there is one person that's not a minister. There's a commissioner at the bottom. Within 14 calendar days to write to these people on behalf of your electors, because we have deep concerns for our safety, national security and a direct threat to our lives because of evidence of radar interference from the proposed offshore wind turbines in Geograph Bay. We would like your official response from all of the following individuals to our community, to knowing we are being put at risk for these foreign infrastructure in our oceans. And the top one here I've had to write...
Sorry, can you just start? There's somebody recording, and I think I clearly said no recording. No? All right, sorry. Please carry on.
Thank you. Darren Flem, who is the Fire and Emergency Services Commissioner, if you don't comprehend that radar is vital to fire response, especially from the air. What you also need to know is that from all the experts that I have spoken to all across the world over the last 2 years, it's become evident now that all precautionary principles have been thrown out the window. I today spoke to the Department of Defence and they're very intrigued that there has not been eyes over this at any point. I will be calling back to them in a number of days in the response to what happens today. But what I would like to say is that emergency response is something that affects every single person within the city of Busselton. We know that. And when it comes to fire response, having good communications and absolute pinpoint radar is essential in that process. Without that, we cannot save lives. And putting lives at risk for offshore infrastructure like this is unacceptable. I feel it's essential that this matter needs to be addressed once and for all because at no point has this community ever been consulted. When we had our special electors meeting, it was passed unanimously that we are against offshore wind turbines here in Busselton, in the city of Busselton, and those people that attended, which of where I think there was about 200 people that attended that meeting. In this, it says here on the 13th, it comes from the fact that 13 offshore wind turbine projects in Sweden in 2024 were cancelled. This is the evidence here. You guys have this. The coastline was not protected from any invading forces because they realised it caused such radar interference that their coastline was no longer safe. That might be something that seems quite hysterical, but not really when you see that radar interference is about safety in all areas, especially on the ocean and in the air. If we're doing marine rescues, how are we supposed to do that? Not only has Sweden cancelled 13 offshore wind projects, but so has the US. The Department of War in the US has now halted offshore wind processes so it can fully investigate the level of impact, and they know now which is what you have before you. So I'd like to put this forward that the council acts on behalf of the people to protect them, to ensure the services that we require in emergency and fire response in particular can go forward with safety to the following people, which is Darren Flem from the Fire and Emergency Services Commissioner, the Federal Defence Minister, Mr Richard Marles, Federal Shadow Minister, Mr Angus Taylor, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority, Department of Defence, Public Consumer Services, and I got the email address from the Department of Defence today because they actually don't have anyone to deal with these things. How disappointing is that? ANSA, who is the Marine Safety Authority, the Minister of Defence Emergency Service of the State, Paul Papalia, State Shadow Minister for Defence and Industry, AUKUS, Ms Libby Mettam, Minister of Mines and Petroleum, David Michaels, who is heavily involved in this with all the FIFO workers flying in and out of this local airport, and the US Consular. Now, the US Consular might seem strange, but that was the Department of Defence actually recommending that they'd be advised because they're already aware of this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So the motion in front of us, I believe, is for the City of Busselton, on behalf of its electors, residents and ratepayers, send the following correspondent to all the following ministers, shadow ministers, and the other person you mentioned, and write the following to the minister's name on behalf of the electors, etc. And then these few pages, that includes Darren Fem, Fire and Emergency Services, Federal Defence Minister, Richard Marles.
The people I just named.
Okay. Sure, Mr CEO's got a question.
Just a couple of procedural issues, if I can. You're actually asking this meeting to resolve something and have because that decision then has to go to the council.
What I'm asking for is the council to put forward, I've put forward the motion for the council to make a decision on behalf of its electors, correct?
That's fine, but you've got a clause in there that says that the City of Busselton, on behalf of its electors, residents and ratepayers, send the following correspondence to all of the following ministers within 14 calendar days. I can't execute that.
Why not?
Well, because the motion has to go to the council. I haven't got a council.
Well, I've just told you we have a feasibility licence. It's about to be signed. So that if that goes ahead and we know that this is something that's on the table, isn't that something worth protecting?
I'm not arguing whether it's worth protecting. I'm telling you about the procedure to achieve what you want. If you don't take my advice, that's fine.
It's not about taking the advice. What I'm asking is within 14 calendar days, is it not possible to draft up this letter?
Drafting the letter is not the issue. I need a council resolution to execute that.
Can that not be done today?
No.
Why not?
There needs to be agenda offset recommendations. We have to.
Of such importance.
We need to make informed decisions.
So are we allowed to have someone to second the motion tonight?
Yeah. Is there a seconder?
Yep.
There is a seconder.
And can I just add something quickly to that too? To that motion?
You wish to make an amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Sure. Please come forward.
My name is Narelle Hopkins. I am from Geograph. I second Martine's motion, and I'd just like to add that after getting this information, I'd really ask the Busselton CEO, the Mayor and the councillors to be asking the airlines that are using the airport, Virgin, Qantas, Jetstar and Alliance, and also the mining companies, Rio, BHP and FMG, to conduct risk assessments on the safety around this potential radio interference. I'd also ask that the City of Busselton CEO, Mayor and the councillors do their own assessment into the public safety, security and the potential loss of revenue should these flights be affected. That is my second and add to that motion.
Quite a comprehensive. You don't have this electronically? No.
Yeah, we can have
I can email it to somebody.
Ms. CEO, would you?
Well, the information would be useful because I can't work how to take this forward because you've given no formal notice beforehand. We're taking this on the fly. That's, for the council, is pretty risky in terms of validating things. It's not about not wanting to pursue what you're after, but I can't execute it in the manner that you're asking.
So,
To extend the date, is that what you're talking about? To extend the date so you can do your own investigation, correct?
It's more about the 14 days. Because if you take the 14 days out, then it's up to the council to decide what assessment and what analysis they need to do.
So can we take the 14 days out and say in a timely manner because you've been notified, that it's pressing because of the feasibility?
Matters that could affect national security. That's important.
yeah, I don't believe these windmills are going in for a few years. So
Wind turbines.
wind turbines, are going in for a number of years.
That's irrelevant.
And it hasn't been approved yet. I'm just saying the 14 days, it's not an urgent matter, I believe. But,
Actually, I do believe it, because the feasibility licence is due to be signed this week.
And this is about public safety.
All right. I'm sure that'll be covered in this assessment, but that's fine. A question? Sure.
Thank you.
Kaya.
Kaya.
My name's Mason Jones. I don't identify from a city, I identify from the Widandi country. I come before the council today behalf of these wind farms that are going ahead. I see the council, they acknowledge the Widandi people. You look on the website, you acknowledge a lot of our Dreamtime stories, our culture. Where these windmills, as you said, these wind farms, there's a big difference in windmills and wind farms. One's clean and one's not.
I apologise for getting that wrong. Sorry.
We've got several Dreamtime stories in our Geograph Bay here. So one of them is Mamang Kep. So that's the story of the Whales Path. Right where these wind farms want to go and be built, it is actually right above where this story lies, the Great Seagrass Patch. So in that story, the whales migrate and come past back through to return home. And that home is Geograph Bay, because in our stories we believe the whales come from the land, and because they were scared and chased into the ocean, that's how they become to live in the ocean. And on their returning home, they would know that they were returning home because of that seagrass patch. So you wipe out that seagrass patch, you're wiping out my culture, you're allowing foreign nationals to control this water and wipe out my culture. My motion is that I want the Aboriginal corporations based in Busselton to be held accountable, because these cultural committees have allowed this to happen. I also believe the City of Busselton has allowed this to happen. I am in the months, a High Court lodgement at the moment with it, because I've got several shires, councils, organisations all in the firing line, all because of greed. So I'm quite disappointed out that, but I want the City of Busselton to voice against the wind farms. I don't want you to accept it as a renewable energy for Busselton, the Geograph region. It is not, because if you accept it and allow this to go ahead without no opposition, you might as well take down that Aboriginal flag, because you do not preserve our culture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. Was that in? Thank you, please. You were just supporting the motion, is that correct? He was just supporting the motion, so.
I would like my testimony added onto that motion as a Widandi man.
We recorded it.
I would like my testimony documented and on file as a Widandi man from this country in proposing the wind farm.
I'm trying to work out how we can do what you're seeking to do in the motion we have before us. No, this is not a testimony. This forum isn't about testimony. It's not a hearing like a government hearing. If you let us deal with the first, just a moment, just a minute.
Sorry, please.
Just a minute. I'm trying to help you here. Let's suggest, Mr. Mayor, you deal with that first motion, and then you can add a second motion along the lines that is being suggested.
Okay, thank you. So we'll stick with the first motion now. I had a seconder for that. Is there opposition? Being no opposition, I'll put that motion forward. Thank you. And then, I'm sorry? Well, there wasn't anything on the screens.
Yeah, that is just the screen. The live stream, I can confirm, is still recording. That's just the screens.
May I ask a question, please?
Councillor Ryan.
In light of the impending urgency of this motion, could we not have a special council meeting to deal with this singular item?
I still believe it needs to go front to council, but if you can get 3 signatures, then you can put forward
Happy
a
to
special
do it.
council. Thank you. Okay. So I'll now put Mr. Mason Jones.
Ladies' motion. We certainly put it.
Oh, I said no, there was no opposition, so.
You need to explain to the audience that you've just adopted.
Okay, I've just adopted that motion to go before council. Thank you. Mr. Jones, we need, the point is, if we're putting motions forward, it needs to be written down, otherwise you'll leave and we'll just, so.
I'm happy to email that through to you this afternoon.
Except we need it confirmed by the electors.
Would you like to come forward and read out your proposal again, please? And we'll try and capture it.
If you could just do that slowly, so allowing someone to be able to type.
Kaya, my name's Mason Jones. I don't identify from cities or councils. I identify as a Wadandi man. My motion tonight is I put forward the council objects to any renewable energies from the wind farms that's proposed in Geograph Bay. 4, if it does go ahead, it destroys Wadandi culture. The preservation of this culture is a must.
Can I suggest you stop there? Because that's captured the essence of it. The rest of it is a story.
We'll leave it simple for that.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that motion? There is a seconder. Please state your name and... Trevor Overy, thank you. Okay, is there opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the gallery? Please come forward, Mr. Bussell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and staff and councillors. I speak basically in favour of what the last speakers have been talking about, which is to do with the wind towers in the ocean. So I would like to get to the bottom of things as far as the council is concerned and ask specifically, does our Busselton City Council at this stage have an official position on the federal Labor government's controversial proposal to construct huge banks of enormous ocean-based wind turbines extending across the entrance to iconic Geograph Bay and stretching northwards via Bunbury and Binningup to Dawesville near Mandurah? Can someone answer that question for me from the council, please? Because if the answer is yes, I would like to know what that position is.
Obviously, I can't speak on behalf of the council, but to give you some background information, the council has previously resolved to write on behalf of a sector of its community who requested it to write to ministers, and that was following a special electors meeting some time ago. So the city did write to a range of ministers expressing the concerns of that sector of our community, but the council itself has not adopted, as far as I'm aware, a formal position.
I thank you for that. So in the light of the response to my question, I would like to move the following motion myself on behalf of the electors of the City of Busselton. That the Busselton City Council, at their earliest possible opportunity following this 2026 electors meeting, conduct a poll of all councillors present, preferably at their next full council meeting. I'm not putting a date on it because it's preferably, to decide their official majority decision on the Federal Labor Government's controversial Southwest WA offshore marine wind turbine plans before it becomes too late for Council to constructively impact the Federal Government's current proposals. That's the basic wording of my motion.
Just need a seconder for that. Michelle Shackleton. Is there any opposition? No opposition. I put the motion. All those.
Well, can I just say a few more words about in response to attract support? It is, in my view, imperative that Council clearly establishes their position in this matter so they can write to Prime Minister Albanese and his relevant ministers advising them of Council's position on this concerning proposal on behalf of the people of the City of Busselton. Council should stress the huge adverse environmental impacts this proposal would bring with it, along with the serious adverse effects on our boating and fishing fraternity, and even the hugely popular cruise ship visits to Busselton and Bunbury in particular. The Prime Minister and relevant ministers should be reminded that the City of Busselton is the most popular regional tourist destination in the whole of Western Australia. And this proposal would put that enviable position at a completely unacceptable risk. We don't want these wind turbines in our iconic southwest offshore waters, so please abandon your plans for this area. I would like to see this included in the contact to the Federal Government. And if you insist they are necessary, please take them somewhere else. We don't want them anywhere near us. Thank you.
Thank you. Put the motion then. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Do we have any other more questions? Keep coming up.
Thank you for taking all the questions. Neil Delroy, I'm a resident of West Busselton. Saltwater again, I'm sorry. I'd just like to go through a few of the history of this for everyone's benefit. I mean, it was originally proposed in 2012 for 21 million. June 2020, it was revised to 29.4 million. September 21, it was revised to 38 million, and then there was a survey taken of residents and 34% voted for it and 53% voted against it. 1 month later, the council approved approved a budget for 44.55, so, you know, a massive increase within a month. Then there was a revision in November 2024 to 51.55 million. Additional borrowing in December 24 to 58 million. KPMG estimate January 26, 72 million, which of course included financing. Every project should include financing costs. I can't believe, I think Dr. Hunt said you don't normally include financing costs. Well, I look at a lot of projects in mining and elsewhere, all of them include project financing. It seems unbelievable that you wouldn't include it. So that, but then I also looked at Councillor McNish's motion of all the costs within council, and I used AI to use benchmarks to cost what that could be, and that came out to around $9.5 million, external costs, or costs within. So that would take the total project cost to about $81.55 million by my estimates. Then I looked at the overall, so basically when you look at the total cost of $81.55 million, and the total cost of the construction was at that stage $45 million, so 50% of the money seems to be hitting the ground in the actual build cost. I then looked at the total cost of this to the ratepayers over time, and just to summarise that without going through all the detail, I've got a lot of detail here if you want it, but over a 50-year asset life, which is what would be appropriate under the accounting standards, something like this, to writing it off over 50 years, and then the annual costs of running all the losses, the cost to ratepayers is going to be between about 98.8 million and 147 million in net present value terms using a 6% discount rate. Or if you use nominal dollars, it's going to be about $234 million loss over its lifetime in nominal figures. So, and then I've converted that to what that's going to cost to the normal average ratepayer. And the total cost in nominal dollars will be about $10,600 for per ratepayer, or in net present value terms on the 6% discount, about $5,430. So over the lifetime in...
That's over the 50 years, isn't it?
Over 50 years, yeah, which is according to the accounting standards.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's right. So those costs, that's depreciating the 81 million over that period of time in there too, and then the annual losses that are projected to incur. So the question is, I suppose, is can the community get? Obviously it's gone wrong. You can't. There's money. You can't fix it or get it back. So it's got. It's got to move forward. I can see that. But can the community get a full costing of this, transparent, including the costs that Councillor McNish asked for, just so everyone understands what's really going on, and then some sort of, you have done an analysis of what's got, what needs to be done, because there was quite clearly there's a total lack of planning at the beginning of the whole thing by the looks. And the costings that were provided, that was meant to be a fixed cost, and clearly it wasn't. There's over, I think, 70 variations in the whole project, plus 70 variations, and the average cost of each variation on average, even though some you got money back and some you lost, it cost you more, but the average variation cost $100,000 in round terms, which is, it's a pretty dreadful record when you look at it. So my question or motion is that can we get the council to provide a total history of it and a budget of what it's going to go, what it's really going to cost going forward? Because nothing in the past, history shows that it's been consistently wrong.
I'm forced to make a comment that I'm not endorsing the numbers that you've mentioned.
Sure.
Or the averages and other components you've used, because you've just thrown them out there.
Yeah. I'm happy to provide you with the workings.
No, that's not the point. You need to deal with the facts of the number of variations and what they were. To take an average is particularly dangerous, I think.
Well,
the council...
Thank you.
Yep.
The council has already resolved to do a full report on completion of the project. That's been determined. The interim report, which went to the last council meeting, was a statement of this is where we are at this particular point in time. So the council has committed to do the things that you're suggesting. And as I say, I won't go point for point with you on the items because you've got them in front of you. I don't.
Yeah, sure.
But there are a number of issues that you've suggested that need extensive clarification before I'd be prepared to go further.
No, that's fair enough, long as the council, is prepared to do that. But I mean, I just see Councillor McNeish's motion wasn't taken up. So, it seems that there's a lack of transparency still in the system.
The alternate. Okay, so...
Yeah. So are we going to get a transparent,
I'm struggling with your comment because the interim report went to the last council meeting, and I've just stated to you that the council has already agreed to do a report at the completion of the project.
Yeah, are you going to include all costs though?
Well, we did that in the last exercise about a week ago.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I'm afraid we did.
All right, thank you. Okay. Please, no arguments with the staff. Thank you. Please come forward. State your name, where you're from.
Darren Glover from Ambergate. Look, I know it's been discussed tonight, but in light of the information that has been presented to the City of Busselton tonight and previously at the special electors meeting held on the 24th of April 2024, regarding the proposed wind turbine area in Geograph Bay, we at BARA, which means Busselton Area Ratepayers Association, are very concerned about the welfare and safety of our ratepayer and residents of Busselton. We request you apply a precautionary principle and on our behalf investigate and take the necessary steps to prevent all potential risks and harm to our community. Thank you, Barra.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Tuffin? Please state your name and where you're from, for the record.
Thank you. My name's Tom Tuffin and I live in West Busselton. Councillors, tonight we've heard a lot about the cost of the Performing Arts Centre. What I haven't heard about, though, is the benefits of the cost. I'm only going to talk about the economics. The cost to mental health, all the other benefits that will bring, we haven't discussed. I haven't got time to discuss them. But what worries me about what I've heard about the cost is that no one's mentioned the benefits. Let me give you some results of reports that have been done. The one that was done by Evans and Lane for us didn't put it as a percentage, it put it as the community will profit at $83 million a year will come into this region because of that centre. Okay, $1.5 million a week, and we're saying, oh, no, we don't want it. Come on. If I wanted to give you an extreme example, and I don't ridicule me on this, but an extreme example is the Opera House. According to the world's leading, well, a very high leading financial company, Deloitte, that brings in no less than $11.4 billion to the New South Wales economy. There were a lot of people at the beginning of that project who spoke against it because of rising costs and so on. I don't think many of them would be going to open their mouth at this stage. Quite a few other factors about that is the increase in costs has also been mentioned. And yeah, I'm a ratepayer, I don't like costs going up either. But I'd like to quote to you from a man called Tom Jacobs, who's a lawyer, who specialises in contracts and things of construction. This is what he says, quote, "The WA construction sector has been smashed by many challenges of late. COVID-19 has caused large-scale impacts, including skyrocketing material costs, severe labour shortages and supply chain disruptions, resulting in major price and time squeeze. I'd like people to take that into account. Some facts: 40% rise in materials, 30% rise in labour since the project started, in fact, probably more by now, and 23.6% per year rise in energy costs. Now, materials like copper, aluminium, cement all rely on huge amounts of electricity to be manufactured, and so a 23.6% rise is going to affect the cost of this building. Just to give you a comparison, I thought I might just mention an interesting fact, quite close to home, bit closer than the Opera House. Out here yonder, they're building have finished building a duplicate Busselton to Capel Highway. You might be interested to know that the allocated price for that, when it was first formed, was $80 million. The final price, 3 or 4 years later, was $170 million. I'd like people to bear that in mind. Costs are going up, unavoidably, for as far as we're concerned, unavoidably, and the costs that we've experienced here, you can compare it with the cost of a $90 million increase over a couple of years on an $80 million project. Please take that into account. A couple of other little things. There's been one that worries me a little bit is the convention centre. This is what our report says about it. Globally, the convention market is massive, with quests for bigger, better, more sophisticated and impressive conventions being the trend, and a very strong trend. And I'll quote now, well, I've been quoting, "It is clear that Busselton would benefit from a convention centre to cater for the MICE market." Now, the MICE market is the Marketing, Innovations, Conferences and Exhibition. And we would profit quite a lot. That I'm not surprised at all of that comment, because I'll go on and quoting now. Conventions are no longer just about the agenda. They are about the whole experience provided to the delegates. Tourism features heavily in this. It then lists why Busselton is ideally suited for conventions. We can offer everything that any conference organiser would want. We've got it all here. Look, I've attended conferences in Sydney, Boston, Helsinki, Geneva, and I can talk from first-hand experience. If you multiply what I spent I stayed over for a day or two, in 6 days I was in those towns, by the number of delegates, you'd be looking at well over $1.5 million spent just to run a 3-day conference. It's a good deal. I'm a bit of I employ artificial intelligence a lot. I find it very, very useful, some faults. I asked it what a conference here would benefit. I gave it some information or assumption of 3-day conference, and half the delegates, not all, the ones from Perth may not stay over, but half of them staying over for 3 days after the conference to do a bit of sightseeing. The conservative estimate I got back was that would bring in $1.3 million for a 3-day conference. Come on, that's good. That's really, really good business. Bear that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when you start criticising the costs. I feel disappointed that a lot of this seems to be running down to criticism of councils and councils' decisions. This is a representative democracy. We vote in representatives and they do what they think is best in light of the information they have at the time. And I'd like to sincerely congratulate our councillors for the foresight and the sense they've had. They've seen through all these shallow things. They're important, I'll admit. I don't like having to pay extra money. But when you compare it with the overall situation, the broad scene, what's really going to happen, these people, these councillors have shown a lot of sense, and I'd like to congratulate them all. I'll better finish up, Mr. Mayor. The second last paragraph in that big 500-page report that we got from KPMG reads like this. As this report demonstrates, the project has navigated complex planning. I've been involved in this since the old Civic Centre out here was taken over for offices. It was a lovely building, perfect one. And I've been involved with this probably for 20, 25 years. I've seen the whole thing. And so there has been complex planning. I've been part of it. I've seen it. There's been rigorous financial decision-making on the basis of the best advice we could possibly get. And there has been extensive consultation and unprecedented construction challenges, unprecedented. Now, this is the line I like. Despite these pressures, the city has continued to do progress saltwater with perseverance and a strong focus on the long-term value for the community. Congratulations once again. I think I might leave it at that, Mr Mayor. I've got a fair bit here.
Thank you very much, Mr Stufford.
I've probably made a few points that I want to make. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, councillors.
Thank you. I just would like to remind the gallery that I don't think people are interrupting certain people when they're talking. It just would seem fair not to interrupt others. I just hope the City of Busselton community is one about. Okay, thank you. Mr Ealing.
Yeah, I thought it was question time, not just making statements, but anyway, my question
This is your meeting, so you can...
Yeah, no, that's cool. I thought,
just go
I thought
for
it was
it.
a question, but, you know, if you want to read a statement, I can bring a book in next time and read it to you. Yeah, I saw on the annual report there, 24, 25, that I think, if I get it wrong, 154 car parks or whatever must have been added to the car parks around the town?
There are 154 car parks that we maintain.
That you maintain, rightio. So cool. I just want to clarify that for my own understanding. I think everyone's aware of the congestion that this town gets in holiday season or when you put your events on. And being an events capital of the state, then you need to work on this congestion. I'm not sure whether this city or council has a plan to work on the congestion that this town gets on public holidays, school holidays, when the events are on.
Actually, if that's a question, I'll put that to, was that Mr Darby, or with regards, what are we doing about parking car parks? Or did we recently have a briefing? Sorry, was that Mr Barber, wasn't it?
Well,
Sorry.
to give
it's been
you
a long
context,
night.
To give you some context, last week I was driving around town. You couldn't get out West Street, past Audi's to the Cowtex garage. It was banked up through two roundabouts and the satellites at the Ship Hotel there. It was just chaos. In town, not a car park to be found. No matter where you drove, around and around and around and around. Beachfront, not a car park. Another hotel's going to go in there. Are they going to put in car parks, or are you going to give them another 20 or 30 like you did with the Hilton? What is the plan? Now, if you want to bring all these people here, have a plan on where they're going to park, There's just all this infrastructure's going in with nothing going around it. So is there a plan on increasing the amount of car parking bays available, with all this new infrastructure going to go in potentially, instead of all this parking on the side of the road? Is there a plan for the roads?
If I can answer your question, because I do
I'm
have
still
an
asking the
answer.
question. Is there a plan for the roads?
Mr Barber,
to get
is there
stuff,
could maybe explain
get
the
stuff
briefing
happening?
that we had just last week?
Thanks, Mr Avery. I can comment on the parking first. So we're currently preparing a parking strategy. So that is looking at current occupancy rates across the various... Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You don't waste money on doing strategy, they're full.
Or we won't bother doing anything.
But anyway,
Don't worry about
I'll
it.
listen. Sorry, I'll sit back and listen.
It covers all the parking areas within the CBD as well as Dunsborough and the coastal nodes. Obviously, there's pressure at the beaches as well. From the assessment that they do, they'll be making recommendations on how we deal with that very issue into the future, and there will be a report at some time that comes to council, and there'll be community consultation on that.
Nothing changes.
Does that answer your question?
That answers car parking. How about congestion, road congestion? No plan?
Mr Darby?
We're currently undertaking modelling for... Okay.
No, I think it's right. If you're going to be offensive to staff...
I'm not being offensive, it's just...
But you are. No, let's just call it for what it is.
Right.
I know you're all trying to
Listen,
provoke us, but please.
But you don't get an answer. We're doing modelling, we're doing a
also being
strategy.
reported in the city's corporate action.
Right, so is there a time when we might hear something a bit more, with a bit more meat on the bone?
Plan for one public holiday at any particular point in time. You won't design for one day in a year.
You don't need a public holiday for this road to be congested. Busselton is congested without... Yeah.
Thank you. Next question, please. If you'd like to come up. Sorry, lady in the white dotty.
Thank you, Mayor, Dr Hunt, councillors and staff for allowing me to ask this question tonight. Will the council immediately publish the agenda and minutes details, including attachments that were labelled confidential for saltwater matters, on the ordinary council meeting of the 19th of June, item 18.1, the ARC meeting of the 29th of November 2023, item 8.1 at that meeting, the ARC meeting on the 8th of May 2024, item 8.1. The staff at the time were happy for the council to do this in the comments that they provided on item 14.4 alternative motion in the ordinary council meeting of the 28th of January. So if the staff were happy to do it, why can they not be immediately published? I think the community needs to understand why the council asked for alternate legal advice on the subject of the requirement to initially advertise the saltwater business plan under section 3.59 of the Local Government Act. And sorry, my name is Kathy Broadbent, West Busselton.
Thank you for your question. Mr. CEO.
Thanks for the question. Can you just repeat the first bit, because I think you were saying why were those items deemed confidential and then released last week?
I don't think they were released last week. They were matters that were raised in the ordinary council meeting 19th of June, item 18.1, Audit and Risk Committee the 29th of November 2023, item 8.1, and the ARC meeting of the 8th of May 2024, item 8.1. And I'm just trying to get some understanding of why the council asked for alternate legal advice on the subject about having to advertise the saltwater business plan under the Local Government Act.
Okay, that much I can respond to. There was initial advice given to the council based on information provided at that time that a publication of a business plan under 3.59 of the legislation, the Local Government Act, was not required. There was alternate view amongst the elected members and others, as I understand it, in the community, because I wasn't here at that stage, that a business plan should have been provided, and there was a request by the council, formal request, to have alternate legal advice provided. The advice by that legal firm was different to that provided by the first firm that the opinion had been obtained from. My reading of many of the legal opinions depends largely upon what information is provided at that particular time. Also depends somewhat upon the circumstances prevailing at that particular time. In relation to whether those legal opinions can be released, I would need to assess that. Essentially, legal advisors will tell you don't release your legal opinions because you lose the ability in any future legal action that might come. I'm trying to think of the word, you know what it is. You lose that right of privilege. Yeah. So that's the basis on which the position has been taken.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. CEO. My concern was that legal advice given to the first firm may have information given to the first firm may have differed from that given to the second firm, resulting in a second or different opinion.
I'm sure that some of the commentary, because there was some months between the two, some of the commentary may have varied. I've not found anything of significance, but I have been asked to review that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Neil Shipley, Geograph. This is a little bit different to what's been happening recently. I have been perusing through the 24-25 report presented by Council, and one of the items that struck me was the workforce structure or lack of diversity. And I was just wondering, the report states that 1.36% of your workforce is comprised of people with disabilities, and only 0.81% are First Nations members. I was wondering, does Council have a plan, and is Council proposing to increase both the diversity with respect to people with disabilities and First Nations people? Thank you.
Ms. Biz.
Thanks for the question. The statistics that we report in the annual report are collected through a diversity questionnaire that employees optionally fill out. And so we gather that data through, I guess, that optional questionnaire, and that's sort of what forms those statistics. We do have an equal opportunity employment plan that we prepare and review from memory. I think it's every 4 years we review that plan. And in that plan, there are a range of, actions and strategies around diversity. I guess largely we do recruit on merit as required under the Local Government Act, but there are some other strategies around encouraging diversity in that plan.
Yep. Okay, thanks for that answer. Going on from your answer there on my question, is there a program of apprenticeships within the city with respect to that?
We do employ what we call trainee positions.
Yep.
So apprenticeships and traineeships, I think, are quite interchangeable currently. We have a current trainee in our building department. We have trainees within our youth area. We did have a local government general trainee also that would move dependent on need. So yeah, we do have some, I think it's 3 or 4 trainee positions.
Okay, thanks for that. Another question for Council. Perth is currently suffering an infestation of the European shothole borer. There's been quite substantial damage to the tree coverage within Perth, as has happened in other cities and councils. I was wondering if the city has a specific greening program with respect to developments, residential developments.
Well, we did just plant 45,000 trees, so that's a good start.
Yeah,
Ms. Sia, Oliver? Director Darby.
Not a specific greening program. Obviously, as the Mayor's just mentioned, we have a large planting program, 45,000, for example, just last financial year. There are requirements for a developer to provide landscaped areas and tree planting and rehabilitation to native areas. We retain as much as possible native vegetation, as well as through developments. The city maintains thousands of hectares of native vegetation, which will have programs to actually revitalise and plant through and maintain. We will be briefing the council in the near future on the borer. Luckily, at this point in time, we don't have any notifications of anything in the southwest, but there is that potential that it could happen. But yes, our intention is to continue planting trees, and we do work with all the developers, and we work within our own teams to actually increase the amount of planting.
Okay, thank you. Further to that point, I just note that driving around Dunsborough in particular, but also in Geograph and where developments are taking place, the plot sizes are becoming quite minimal. There is nowhere on those plot sizes for any substantial trees or plantings to take place. Is council planning to address that particular issue such that the city and the new developments become more green?
Thanks for the question. Those kinds of elements are covered by state policy, and the council can't make policies that are contrary to state policy. So the residential R codes have certain requirements around lot sizes and planting areas, etc., which the city will enforce, but we can't go further than what the state policy requires.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. More questions? Mr Sims? Oh no, you've already asked a question. We'll ask someone else. Mr Evell, you can come forward if you like.
Evening, Don Evell from Geograph. In December 2024, this council needed urgent funds for the saltwater project. The council then voted to strip reserve funds from the following reserve accounts, which are in place for repairs and maintenance of capital upgrades. Now, these reserve funds included Barnard Park, Sports Pavilion, Railway House, Youth and Community Activities, Busselton Library, Busselton Community Resource Centre, Geograph Building, which incidentally the ceiling fell in last week, NCC Building, Civil and Admin Building, Peel Terrace Causeway Road and the Lou Weston Oval Pavilion. These funds were put into a general building reserve fund so they then could be redirected towards saltwater. Now this fund transfer totalled $5,613,800. So this meant that funds that were put into the original reserves for upkeep on community assets were now drained to pop up saltwater. Now we have this council again raiding reserve funds from the airport and redirecting them to saltwater. This saltwater is a black hole on our and ratepayers' money, and no one in this council is being held responsible. My question is this council going to strip away any more reserve funds to cover the saltwater costs?
Well, no decision has been made to do that. No additional requests have come in at this stage, so I can't speak for council.
Beg your pardon? So what's the answer? We don't know. You don't know.
We don't. I can't answer something that hasn't gone through council.
Well, it was when you originally stripped the funds from the resource centres that I mentioned, that was the first and only time that you were ever going to do it. And in fact, you did it contrary to the Local Government Act and had to change things around.
I don't believe that's the case. So, thank you.
Next thing, just to reintegrate what one of the previous speakers said about your expenditure on staff, council refreshments and catering. It's interesting to note that from July 24, 1st of July 24 to June 30th 25, staff, council refreshments and catering totalled $156,925.23. And as it was mentioned, no transparency on catering items. You have to write an email to the council and say, what was this item expense for? And a typical example was, we spent $4,500 at the Good Egg on an awards night. And I'll leave it at that because we need transparency and accountability from this council.
Thank you, Mr Evell.
Jane Bennett, Busselton. I just wanted to say, first of all, this is not what I'm going to talk about, but I was just very concerned to hear Martine raise concerns about communication interference, just in reference to the fire that happened a year ago. And I actually stood up here at the AGM and shared that experience, which was quite traumatising because it had only been 2 weeks since the fire unfolded. But we had a massive communication failure across many aspects, and lives were threatened, including my husband, who could have died very easily. So that really bothers me that emergency services could be affected in that issue. But I want to raise a motion, and I'm just going to read out first some information. And it's to do with the wind turbine factory that they're proposing, or that seems to be going ahead. So every council in Australia is aware of this issue, most likely, and it's affecting many. And this is why it matters for our community. So there's the potential for beach closures, which is a tourism disaster for our area. Our beautiful beaches could be closed down due to debris, and this is not just speculation, it's actually happened in the US, and we do have to be aware of this. Our beaches are one of our biggest tourist draws and bring in millions of tourists and revenue to the city. And as mentioned before, I think the jetty said they had the busiest visitor load ever over the Christmas period. We also have, obviously a number of different demographics, families, surfers, holiday goers, flock here to our city, which boosts local businesses like cafes, restaurants and hotels. So there is, my understanding is there is asbestos in the turbines still, so, and we don't, only one tiny amount of that can be considered a serious risk. And if the beaches close, then then that is going to massively affect our tourist visitor rates and economy. Okay, so it's very important that we consider that. And then we've also got obviously our fishing industry, which is under threat, or other things are happening with that at the moment anyway, but regarding this area, it's just a massive threat to local jobs in the fishing industry, and fishing is a cornerstone of this area, and disruption to fishing areas and marine ecosystems could destroy livelihoods. Without fishing and tourism, this further cements the real concern that we may bear the brunt of a revenue issue. So protecting our environment, let's not forget. And Martine, I must commend Martine. She's just been the biggest advocate for protection of our environment, and we need, that is a very important component of the concern from the community. So offshore wind farms can damage coastal ecosystems, endanger wildlife and permanently alter our landscapes, including coastal erosion, which is a serious problem that we're already experiencing here in Busselton. So we need to consider these risks, and I'd like to propose a motion, and I'd also like to mention that there are now currently 11 shires in the Great Southern and the Wheat Belt that have united together to challenge the rapid rollout of renewable energy projects, particularly the placement of large-scale wind turbines in their regions. They cite lack of consultation, impact of industrialisation on farm and fishing lands, and, as Mason has mentioned tonight, lands of significance to Aboriginal people with limited financial benefits returning to local communities. So I'd like to put a motion that our council approaches this collaboration of shires and joins together to stand up for our community against this offshore wind turbine project.
Do I have a seconder for that? Please call out now. Thank you. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I'll put the motion to accept that motion. Thank you, it's carried.
Can I just add something to that very quickly that may not be evident?
I'm going to say no. Only that there's a lot of people still wanting to ask questions, and we've got a number of motions going through, and we have had a fairly comprehensive explanation from yourself, so I do appreciate that. Do we have any more questions? Mr. House. Should we put the lights on at the back?
Mayor, CEO, councillors, thank you for the opportunity. Barry House, I'm a ratepayer and freeman of the council, so I've got an interest in the health and well-being of this whole area and community. A suggestion and a question. Firstly, suggestion in relation to procedural matter. If we go back to the beginning of this meeting, votes were taken on a couple of items which I think should be recorded in the minutes as the first one was accepting the previous minutes of the previous electors meeting as a true and accurate record. I don't think anybody in this room has seen them, and there was a mover and a seconder, so I'd suggest the minutes should read that it was carried 2-0 with all the rest abstentions. And the other item I think was a financial report of the previous year. And the same thing, I don't think anybody had seen any of those figures or anything, but it was accepted, and there was about 4 hands then, so it should be recorded as 4-0 and the rest abstentions. Just a suggestion that for next year's electors meeting, an agenda with electronic attachments be made available to the public at least a couple of weeks before this meeting, so that they should contain a copy of the minutes that we take a vote on here, and they should contain a copy of whatever items that we take a note of.
Thank you. I'll pass that to Director Pearson, if I may, those questions.
The agenda for this meeting was published on the website approximately a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and it does contain links to the annual report that was being proposed for adoption, and also I will need to confirm that this link is working, but also contains a link to the minutes, I believe. Just trying to get it to work. I believe it also contains a link to the minutes from the last AGM, which are also on the website under the city's minutes and agendas. But I will just confirm that that link's working.
Well, if it could be made into a readable form, if I could put it that way, because they were pretty well camouflaged, I think, because I don't think anybody saw them.
They were certainly released, and they are on our minutes and agendas page, like all other minutes and agendas.
The other thing, a question, and we've heard a lot about the saltwater project tonight, and we all know the current state, and we have no option but to accept that is the current situation. I don't think there's many people happy about the situation. There will be many people in this community quite pleased to have a performing arts centre eventually, but alarmed about the business case and the financial arrangements which will eventually get us there. Another part of the finances of the Performing Arts Centre, Convention Centre, will be the ongoing management and costs of running it. If I could draw a parallel to the Albany Performing Arts and Convention Centre, that was initially proposed for about, I think it was $35 million. The final costing was about $93 million. Most of that was provided by the state government, most of it. The Busselton Centre has received virtually nothing from the state government. All the imposts have been on the ratepayers. And when it was completed in Albany, the Albany City Council said, Barleys, thank you for the centre, we can't afford to run it. The state government, you'll have to run it. And the state government took up the running and operation of the Albany Convention Centre through the Perth Theatre Trust, which is a state-funded authority. And I think initially it was supposed to be for a period of 5 or 7 years or something, but to my knowledge, it's still ongoing. They are running it, they are funding it, and that arrangement has probably been going for about 15 years now at least. In view of the ongoing costs which have to be factored into the full financial picture for our saltwater centre, has the council approached the state government for a similar arrangement here in Busselton when the full finances are known, that it's blown out by, we've all heard the figures. Has the council approached the state government on that basis, considering they put virtually nothing into it in the first place? It would be a worthy and fair contribution and would certainly alleviate a lot of the ratepayers' expense. Has that approach been made?
We've made numerous approaches throughout the project to receive money for the project, and none has been received. So
I'm talking about the ongoing management and funding
we haven't
of the
asked
centre.
that direct question, no, we haven't, but we can ask. I have to meet with ministers, I will ask.
Can I
again.
strongly urge you to do that? Because it could be a pretty important factor in coming years in terms of the costings.
Will do. Thank you, Mr. House. Question way up the back, thank you.
Rob Mildwaters, Busselton. My question's with the Vass River. So at the moment, the way I understand it, we don't have a contract because the water level's too high. Is that correct?
Mr. Darby, Director Darby.
We don't have a contract with BCP, so we have a tender award, but we haven't got a signed contract. Until we can actually finalise the full details of what they are required to do on site, we haven't got a contract.
So the water levels you said earlier were part of the problem. That's why there was no
correct.
contract.
Yeah.
So why has, I mean, let's look at how far is section 3? How long is it? It would be 200 metres tops?
I'll take your word for that in a minute. I've
Well,
got
it's
it
got
on a plan.
to
But
be around 200 metres. A swimming pool is 50 metres, right? So 4 swimming pools, they're full of water. We could drain them in a day. Why can't we drain the river? Why can't we put some bungs at the end and pump the water out?
Okay, because the approvals won't allow us to do that at this point in time. So we are, and I believe some of my guys have actually come around and explained this to you, Rob. So, Mr.
No,
Mulwater,
they haven't actually.
Mr.
No.
Mulwater, I'm going to step in.
All I'm trying to explain is at this point in time, we don't have the approvals to dewater to that extent. We are looking at trying to, as I said earlier, we're trying to negotiate with the contractor to improve the design and see how we can actually increase dewatering.
Stage 3, was actually one of the actual elements of stage 3 was that we actually put some bunds. That's what you told me around my place.
I think that was with
and
the
pump
water
the
lower.
water out.
Correct.
And how can we not have the approvals to do that?
The bunds aren't the issue, it's the dewatering that is the issue.
We're not dewatering, we're pushing the water forward into the other part of the river. We're not dewatering, it's in the river
Which is
still.
dewatering from one portion of the river to the other portion of the river.
This is just a game. This is a game.
Well, I think we've said that we are
You know,
going to do this.
I've actually volunteered now for the swan rescue. We've got 200 swans that are walking on hot mix roads to get out of that slimy, stinking gunk that you call a river.
Thank you.
They are walking out of the river. Do you understand how bad that is? Like, the river is absolutely disgusting. And we are sitting here saying that we cannot dewater. We cannot push water forward. We are letting all these swans die. If it wasn't for the good people out at Broadwater, they would be dead. They're turning up at shopping centres, in houses. They're walking across roundabouts, traffic jams. And we are twiddling our thumbs saying that we can't dewater. We cannot do this because of that. What a load of rubbish. Get off your asses and fix it.
All right, Mr. Milewater, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Milewater. Mr. Milewater. Go on then. Thank you. Thank you. All right. If there's not any more questions, otherwise I may be taking a recess. Sure, come up. But if not, I will be taking a break for the councillors to have a...
Kaya again.
Kaya.
So, Mason Jones, Wadandy man. Another controversial topic that's been going around is this fishing ban, the demersal fishing ban. So, with this ban, Aboriginal people have been blanketed too. We look at the Marlborough Native Title with what happened over in Queensland with their Native Title Act. They were given their rights back to hunt by land and sea because they were saltwater people. They were surrounded by the ocean, so that was their source. I, as a Wadandy man who practices culture, shares amongst my community and provides for people, has now had my culture taken away from me, being able to provide for my elders and my community. This is a monstrosity against Aboriginal people, and this government, Labor government, has allowed this to happen. I would like to see the council address this issue to the fisheries and whatever department needs this raised to. Like I stated before, I have got High Court proceedings that I'm going to be lodging soon, and it pretty much comes to the outcome of how these councils and shires respond to what we're asking. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of nepotism through our Aboriginal corporations. I'm surprised none of them are sitting here with me today. But as a Wadandy man that has had my cultural rights to provide fish for my community and my elders, I am furious. So I put it to the council, this is a motion, I would like to see City of Busselton Council approach whatever necessary departments, government departments, to seek a resolution to this demersal ban and closure to Wadandy people.
Do I have a seconder for that? I have a seconder. Please announce your name and where you're from, please. Martine Shepherd, Dunsborough. Is there any opposition? No opposition. I put the motion. Those in favour? Motion's carried to be put forward to council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a question and a bit of information on that. Just to make the council and Shire, this area, aware of what's happening. So since this demersal closure has happened, it has restricted our commercial fishermen. In doing this, our supply of fresh seafood, local source fresh seafood, has been restricted and heavily impacted. We now have to rely on imported fish. This fish is coming in whole to our country that carries a biosecurity risk. We look at North Queensland with what happened to their prawns with the white spot. WA has a huge crayfish industry all along our coast. Whether you're up north or down here, everyone goes for the crayfish. We know where these fish frames go when they come in, once they're processed and filleted. It either goes to landfill, treats for dogs that they're now making, or it's going to go to crayfishermen. Are these risks, is there risks from these New Zealand fish? Because I'm sure many of you have been down to the farmers market and now seen they have much imported New Zealand fish. We need to know what we are bringing into our country. If you hop on a plane and go on a holiday and you bring stuff back into our country, you have to go through quarantine. Why is this fish not going through quarantine, and why are we being put at risk? I suggest, and I would like the council to have a look into that and consider our ocean again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Mr. Sims?
Keith Sims, Busselton. And obviously I haven't prepared anything. I've just decided to say this because of previous comments. COVID gets a lot of blame for the cost of things going up. You need to remember it's COVID-19, which was 2 or 3 years before we started the saltwater. Prior to the final contract, the first tender that was submitted was withdrawn because of COVID. So the new tender went out with a budget of 38 million. So that's 2 tenders because of COVID. So once that the tender went out, neither of the 2 tenderers could meet the $38 million budget. They were 44 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. The only way the budget could be met was for, who Broad suggested, pulling items out of the project and replacing them with something lesser, as an example, cheaper carpet. There was even air conditioner brackets changed to get down to the $38 million contract. So when it was proposed, we were told up until very recently the 38 million wouldn't change, and now we're saying it's COVID that's caused it to change. Why doesn't the city officers and councillors recognise what I've just said about COVID-19 was there at least 2 years before, and you knew that there was a problem because you withdrew the first tender and went out again with a new budget?
I mean, personal front, I think a lot of things have gone up since COVID. House prices seem to have doubled since COVID. I'm just saying.
That's not beside the point, Mr. Mayor. What I said was the city knew, councillors knew, before the saltwater contract that's in play at the moment, knew that COVID was an issue because the first contract had to be withdrawn and COVID had already been around 2 or 3 years.
I think the story runs
So
a bit differently.
my question is, do you recognise that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You don't recognise that? Well, that's my question. Do you recognise what I've just said as being fact? Because it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of other circumstances around it, though. So I recognise that, yes, COVID happened.
Yeah, I know. How long is a piece of string as well? No? Well, we're not going to say sorry.
Thank you.
Because the
Thank you.
community
Are there any
told
more
us
questions?
what we wanted to do.
Thank you, Mr.
You're not
Sims. Appreciate
answering
it.
You're not answering again as usual.
Thank you, Mr Sims, for your opinion. Thank you. All right. Okay, I will take one more question and then we will call it. Thank you, Mr Tuffin. I think it's been a long evening. That's not very respectful. If you are leaving, please leave quietly. That's all right, sorry. Do you want to, sorry, we'll wait and switch the microphone on. There's a few people leaving, that's all, so.
Yes, in that report that came from KPMG, there was a list of 40 learnings at the end of it. Well, I only saw it yesterday. I think that's when it was released to the public.
Please.
My suggestions about those 40, some of them are negative, some of them are positive, would be a pity to see them just get overlooked and put on a shelf somewhere and gather dust. I would like to see the council, or the city, contact Kobe Rudd from ECU in Bunbury, and suggest that she engages some of her academic staff to sit down with our top professional staff here and write a program for a professional development course for future, for future or present administrators. This state's going to make be a lot more local government projects being undertaken in the state, and it would be a great idea, I feel, if people who are going to do them can benefit from our experiences. It's been a long, hard, complex experience, and I'd like to see that passed on to other people. A professional development course would be a winner for the ECU, I'm sure, and I think it might save, might help other local governments, or may even help ours. I'd like to make one more comment, if I could. The Petalise survey's been mentioned a lot. What hasn't been mentioned, though, is the fine print in that. What was very obvious from that, it was the young people, the 14 to 35-year-olds that supported it. The females supported it, and families with mothers. I hope all families have got mothers. The mothers with a family supported it. It was the older people and the males that didn't support it. I think that means two things. That we've got to look to the future, because it's the young people that wanted it, and it's fair to take out a 20-year loan because they're the ones that are going to use it, and so just like the rest of us here will have to contribute to it, I think it's only fair that they contribute to it as well. But I think it's a great idea, and congratulations, staff. I forgot to congratulate the staff. I think you've done a brilliant job on the whole thing. It's been a hugely difficult, the whole cost. My son's an architect for the last 40 years, and he has his own architectural firm up in Perth, and he's saying it's just been a bloodbath in the building industry. His builders are just can't do their job very often, or if they can, they're slowed down so much. It's been a bad time out there, and I don't think we should blame anyone for that in this room. I'd just like to say one more thing, if I could, to the members, everyone here, and that is, the building's down there now. We've been through the pain. Please don't make it harder to make a profit by bad-mouthing it. Let's get behind it, it's there. If we keep bad-mouthing it and we're going to make it very hard to get the volunteers we're going to need. We're going to find it very hard to, just making it more difficult. It'll be a success, I haven't any doubt. You only got to look at Bunbury. They built a second one a few years back. Margaret River's just built a second theatre. I haven't heard of a council that has closed their theatres. Geraldton built theirs years ago. Queen Park's Theatre, a great credit to the Geraldton people. They built that, I think, 50 years ago. Bunbury was built 50 years ago. But they've just built another one, and the old one's still in excellent condition. Same with Margaret River. So where I think we need to move forward and start looking forward instead of all this bitterness and division. It's there. If we want it to be a success, well, then let's get behind it. Let's start a bit of positive thinking for a change.
Thank you,
and we might be able to save some of those costs that other people are so scared about. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll reach out to Kobe Rudd, because I know her well.
Sorry, I didn't.
I'll reach out to Kobe Rudd with some of your suggestions. Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting at 8 o'clock, if that's okay. It's been a long night. As I've said, anybody wants to come down, they can always come and talk to us at the CAS sessions, which are on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of the weeks, and that starts at 5:30. So I thank you all for your attendance, and I will close this meeting at 8 o'clock exactly. And thank you all for your time and presence. Thank you.
But thanks for that. You've done well.
Yeah, that's right. As we all